for some reason, I just kept procrastinating, and I was like, it's not the best time. It's not this. It's, oh, there's a better moment. Oh, I just need to fine tune this a little bit more. And I just need to fine tune that a little bit more. And so that's when I hopped on one of the calls, and the guys actually said, no, this is the time, and you are ready, and you really can do it. And, you know, it's a step that you need to take. And so I did, and it was great. So our revenue from the moment I started running the ads until a month later, it was immediately doubled. And so the first month I did homework, the second month we doubled it, and now we tripled it from the initial starting point. It was around 10,000 a month to like 13,000 a month, fluctuating. And this is also where I had the issue with the marketing agency, because it wasn't consistent. Like, we would have a good month where it was growing, and then the next month we would go back to 10. And I'm like, but how and why? And now, so it went from 13 to, I think, like 25, 26. And we're not even at the end of the second month. And we had some big hiccups this month as well, where I had to stop running the ads and stuff like that. But now we're already at 35K. So that's really cool. And also, again, a big hee-haw for the guys, because when I, again, was starting with the ads, it was also in online marketing time, it was the most terrible time to start, because it was Christmas. It was the 19th of December, and that's when the Facebook auctions are really high anyway. And I also chose the Pure Allergy Relief, which obviously you would think is more spring, summertime. And I was like, oh gosh, am I really going to start right before, during the most hard time and the winter? And so I asked the guys, and they're like, if you did your homework and your offer is good and you nailed your avatar and your creatives are good, and you should be confident in that, it doesn't matter when. And it didn't matter at all. January and December were great for us. And apparently people do have horses with allergies all year long. They just didn't know where to find us. So we sell equine supplements and treats. They're all natural, they're holistic. It's all non-GMO. We don't use grains, no additives, no fillers, no molasses, no sugars, no soy, no corn, which is quite special in the United States because they love all of that stuff. And basically it comes down to that we just help horse owners keep their horses healthy or get their horses healthy. So before we started with For Good Profits, we weren't in a terrible place, but definitely weren't growing, especially not as quickly as we would like. We had a marketing agency working for us that was doing all the online marketing. And honestly, even though they were very reliable and they were very diligent and did exactly what we asked, the results weren't wow. And the growing was too slow for our liking. Even though that we know that we have a really good product because we've already been in business for a little bit, for 5 years, I think, and the feedback of our customers is quite great, and our conversion rate was good. So we've had many talks with them, seeing, if and how we could scale, which always was like, it's not as easy as you think. Now we know better. Yes, what they did in 2 years, I doubled in 1 month after For Good Profits. You start thinking about all the issues, like, is it our product? Is it our website? Is it our whatever? Your mind goes everywhere, especially because I did address it with them. And I did say, well, okay, if we start scaling now and we just, put more money in it. And they were like, well, that's not exactly how it works. And they're not wrong, because it isn't exactly how it works unless you nail it. And then it is how it works.
Yeah.
But because they weren't nailing the messaging and the creatives and the whole picture, it is hard to scale. So I think it was quite essential for us to take charge, because there's nobody that knows our business better than we do. I am one of the most skeptical buyers online. I research. I'd never say yes to anything without thorough research. There's no negative anything to find about For Good Profits, which is a plus. There are great videos of people talking about it. And if you look up the people and you look up the companies, you see the faces match the names. And yeah, well, it's important.
Of course.
And then I personally reached out to a couple of people on Instagram simply because I wanted to speak to somebody that has gone through the program. So whatever you need to do to feel comfortable and go for it, do it, because it's really worth it. And as a skeptical person myself, couldn't be happier with the results and couldn't be happier that we actually made the decision and we did it. It's actually really quite easy. And you can just return, like if you have a question, don't wait for a call, go back into the material, look it up, go over it again, because you learn to be self-sufficient and then you learn to answer your own problems and then you actually like retain them instead of just, you know, getting an answer from somebody and just fixing it. If you look for your answers and you can find them, obviously, because they're all in there, it just really is quite an easy process. Once you understand it, you understand it. And I'm still like, I know that this is like the tip of the iceberg that we're at, because I haven't mastered scaling sufficiently. So I'm working on that and I'm just revisiting and just going back and forth and improving and, you know, trying to make it better and better and better. So I know this is just the beginning. It has allowed me to see a way clearer path, because the For Good Profits program is so much deeper than just Facebook ads management. It actually goes into how to do it, how to manage your company correctly. It also focuses on how to do it profitably. So it's not just like, oh, go spend tens of thousands of dollars on ads and make 10% profit on that. No, it actually explains how you can spend as little as possible to get as much as possible out of it. So I think that's a big mistake that a lot of people make, that they think, oh, we're just going to crank up the numbers on Facebook ads, and then they're spending a ton of money over there and the profits just keep going down and down and down and down. And in the end, you're pushing a lot of product. Yes, you are, but your profits are very, very small. And I think the nice thing about this is that the focus is actually on actual profit. How do you grow your business profitably? How do you spend your money profitably? How do you have an overview of what is coming in, what is going out, how much you need to sell and how much you need to get in, and how much, you know, even with COGS and the cost and everything is factored in. So it's not a simple program where you get to manage your ads. It goes into managing your whole business efficiently and sufficiently and just profitably. There's TikTok, there's Google Ads, there's Pinterest, there's influencers. There's so many things, and there is just no way to do all of it. So that is a thing that I really like. And Daryl and Joseph say it very often. Make it simple, make it simple, make it simpler and easier for yourself. Because if you manage to do one thing really, really well, the rest doesn't matter. I know that people always say like, but there's also such a huge market in Pinterest, and there's also such a big market in, yeah, there's big markets everywhere. Can't do them all. Not an octopus, can't do them all. It's also really, really nice to be in a program and a community where everybody's working towards the same goals and everybody's struggling with the same problems, and everybody is so open and everybody is so willing to help and everybody is so inspiring, honestly. And it really, it shows you how amazing humans are, how resilient humans are, how inspiring humans are, and how much, you know, how much amazing things there are in the world. I've had several things that I ordered from For Good Profit people simply because I was like, I didn't even know this existed. Fantastic. So the community is really amazing as well. It's really, really nice to have just a pool of people that are all working on the same thing that you are. So whenever you run into something, and it's also because it's global, there's always somebody in your time zone that is up, awake, doing whatever. So there's always somebody to talk to and always somebody to bounce off of. And also, even when you're not specifically dealing with something, but then you hear somebody else talk about their problem, and either you can help them, or you're like, oh my gosh, that's such a good thing to think about, to not run into this in the future. And so even them sharing their experiences and their their thought processes, and that's a wonderful thing about humans as well. Everybody thinks differently, everybody talks differently. So you just learn so many different angles of looking at a problem, and so many different ways of thinking about a product or thinking about sales or marketing. And then you can actually use feedback from them. You can start changing your company, because some people have a genius idea on how to get feedback in the company, and you're like, ooh, great. So it's just the whole of it. I think the classrooms are fantastic. As I said, you don't even, and I absolutely do not want to talk down on the calls, because those are fantastic in their own way. But if you would only get access to the classroom alone, you would be able to highly proficiently scale your business. The calls on top of that are phenomenal, because you can actually talk to a human being and talk through the process, and get feedback from people that actually know what they're doing, and that are not simply supplying you with answers, but are making you think critically and making you think for yourself. So again, that's self-sufficiently, like, why don't you trust your own gut? Why don't you, what is it that is holding back for, what is holding you back? And that again goes back to the mindset, like, why are you looking for confirmation, or why are you? So the thought process is so much deeper. So I think that's a really nice plus of the classrooms on top of the classroom. And then the community on top of that is like the cherry on the cake, because that is where you go for basically anything. Even if you just need some support, or just, are having a bad day, you're reading through comments and you're like, oh, I'm not the only one. Wonderful.